Hey y'all, what up? I'm back with another episode. So, today I have a topic that I really wanted to touch on because I get a lot of questions about this from different guys from different age groups, right? So, the question of topic here is you see all those older guys dating younger women in Southeast Asia. Like, I'm currently here in Vietnam. I just left Thailand. I've been to Laos and actually been to India as well, and some of like Asia, like Japan, all of these places, right? The Philippines, especially. And a lot of older men ask me, you know, can I get a younger wife? Or is it possible? Is all of the stuff that people say on the internet real? Is it hype? Is it fake? Is it AI? And I'm here to tell you, yes. Yes, it is real. Yes, it can be you. Let's get into it after this, though. I'm Don, the Black Nomad Wingman, and all I want to do is help people and the fellow bros who are traveling. And no, we are not passport bros. We are bros with passports.
Oh, homie, my little dancer, homie. Let's dance.
I spent the past year and a half traveling Latin America, Caribbean islands, Asia, and Europe before that. And the craziest thing is, before this, I would have never imagined I could do this. And the best part is, I did it all on a budget. You dig? I met some of the coolest people with the most wonderful and majestic stories about their traveling journeys. And on this channel, my main focus and goal in this video is sharing extremely useful information. I'm gonna tell you how to protect your peace, your heart, and more importantly, your wallet. Let's get into it. And please, like, share, and subscribe. So, if you are looking or scrolling through YouTube and you're seeing all these relationship forums and stuff like that, you'll see like a lot of older Western men marrying younger Southeast Asian women. And a lot of critics will call it financial exploitations, and defenders will, say that it's traditional romance and stuff like that. But we're going to talk about what do the actual facts, numbers, and sociological studies say. Today we're going to get rid of all the guesswork and all of this stuff and clickbait, and we're going to look at government census data, purchasing power economics, demographic research to explain why these unions happen and how the power dynamics work and what it actually takes to build a stable life across cultures, right? So, let's start with numbers, right? Purchasing power. In Western places, most people who have, like older guys who have pensions at $2,500 a month or something like this, that's a retiree. And if you extrapolate that over the year, that's really only about 30 grand ish, maybe, yeah, 30 grand, $25,000. No, it's 30,000 easily, right? So that's very like lower end in where I'm from anyway, in America. But if you go to like rural Thailand, if you go to the Philippines, Vietnam, for instance, where I am now, that's actually like very, very well to do in those places. So your money changes the situation. Your money changes the situation that you are in based on where you are. And so sociologists refer to this dynamic as global hypergamy. It's marrying a partner of higher socio-economical status in that way. So for a woman in a region that's not as high wages don't exist there, she has limited wage mobility because it's harder for people to get jobs. Like, I'm currently in Vietnam, they don't make much per month, so limited wages keeps people from having a bunch of money. And so an older man living in another country, he's making like 4 to 5 times what they make yearly there for most people. So For a man, his retirement savings can unlock a highly comfortable lifestyle and a very good companionship that he probably could not afford back home. And this doesn't make him a, not winner or whatever about that, but that's good. Everybody should be happy about this. So in Western countries, the average age gap is 2 to 3 years. A man is older by 2 to 3 years, right? But if you go to Thai and Western, or Thai and American, Thai and anybody Western, and Filipino Western marriages, the age gap jumps to 12 to 18 years. That's a big difference, you know what I'm saying? And 33% of foreign grooms and foreign men that are getting married in Thailand are age 60 plus. So you got like more than 25% of men getting married in Thailand that are over age 60, when like in America, it will be almost over with, even though my father's getting married at age 60, but I don't think that his wife is, so close in age so far away from him in age as well. So, that's actually not bad. And according to like Thailand's universities and Filipinos university studies, over 90% of cross-border unions involve a Western man and a local woman. And that's like huge, you know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy. It's not all Asian people marrying inter-Asian, is what I'm saying here. And why does this wage gap widen internationally? It's because of evolutionary economics. It's known as the provider-nurturer exchange. Older Western men, often divorced, usually. I have a lot of divorced friends out here, and they come and they find a new wife. They're facing high rates of social isolation at home because it's harder to have friends. So they go to find emotional, stability in other places, or traditional domestic roles. And meanwhile, younger women get what they want. They get a, mature, older, financially predictable man over dating men where it's like in their local country, they struggle with employment because the wages are so low. Like, who wants to just work a bad job forever, But beyond money and age, there is like a huge cultural engine driving these marriages. In Western cultures, family structures are a little more individualistic. In Southeast Asia, things like Buddhism, Catholic tradition, and Confucian values, children and daughters are like expected to bring money back home, right? So there's no state-funded programs like Social Security in these places. So when a foreign man gets married into these families, the reality is he's expected to help, especially an older foreign man, right? He's expected to help her family. He's expected to help them out. And that's an important part of unions that go on in these places. So there's no reason to feel like these are bad things, this isn't going to work out, because the stats say otherwise. The stats say actually it will work. So we got to stop thinking that it's not possible for us. It's possible. You just have to be willing to agree to this term, be willing to abide by your end of the bargain, and she'll be willing to hold up her end, but you also want to make sure that there's a respect factor there, there's a love factor there, there's a admiration factor, because women need to admire you in order to remain faithful, in order to not want to have a power dynamics that's different in a relationship. Because I find a lot of these older male and younger female relationships starting out one way, with the man feeling like he kind of is the leader in the relationship, but then later coming to find out that she's controlling him and she's changed how she wants to have this thing go on. So you got to also, make sure you you have a agreement before things go on. And if things change, you also have to not be afraid to walk away from it. You cannot try to force a square peg into a round hole. And that's a big thing for me, because I've seen a lot of those situations not work out. And I have a specific story about that coming up next. So I recently got a story from a friend of mine about a girl in the Philippines. And the story goes like this. A guy was living an older guy we know. He was living in a really nice condominium in Cebu area, and he was dating a girl. Everything was going fine. He was really into her. Everything was beautiful, So she's Filipina, obviously. He's Western. He's a man from the states or whatever. And he decided to do some nice things for her, because she's a beautiful girl and all that. But he wanted to, get her some stuff for her daughter because they'd been dating for a while. The caveat to this, though, is she would be living in his condo whenever he would go back to the States. So, say he'd go back to America for 3 months, she'd live in his place. And he'd be, coming back to the Philippines for 3 months and they'd be together or whatever, right? And so one time he came back to the Philippines, and it was a birthday. It was her daughter's birthday, not his daughter's, but it was her daughter's birthday. So to be a nice guy, he decided to buy her some birthday fixings. He bought a pig. He bought all these things for the party. He was just being a very nice guy, and everything was fine, or so he thought it was. He told her that he wanted to attend the birthday party. He told the girl, and do you know what she told him? She told him that he could not attend the party because the child's father was going to be there. And I guess it really hurt, his feelings a lot because he did the right thing. He left her alone. And he also, courteously asked her to move out of his place. But that's the thing about dating younger women when you're an older man is there are caveats and there are side quests that go on, and you need to discuss all this stuff before you decide to really get serious or really take anybody very seriously or want to start doing all these things for anybody, because you can find yourself being very over invested in someone, and it can hurt you. You know what I mean? It can hurt you and it could scar you for your next endeavors, right? So, when you hear stories like this, you want to kind of protect yourself and make sure that you don't make these same mistakes. Make sure that you don't overinvest or overextend yourself because, I mean, he was paying bills for her being at his place when he wasn't there. He was paying, sending her money to eat while she's there. I mean, this whole time he could have just been like, okay, when I leave, you leave. And sometimes it's better to even have that be the way that you operate because you don't want to overinvest. You don't want to be overspending or, you know, doing things that you think is going to win over somebody. I think my friend has a really great phrase, and I'm not calling this woman that, but he says, Don, sometimes you got to leave a rat where it's at, you know? And it's very apt because, she wasn't living in that lap of luxury. She wasn't used to that sort of high class, like, building. He lived in a very nice condo with, a doorman and AC and all that stuff. She wasn't living that life, when he wasn't there before she met him. So for him to supplement her life whenever he left and stuff like that, I think was a little bit much. I think he overinvested himself, and I think he found out the hard way where he really stood in her life. And that's why in the previous segment I said you have to have all your agreements made. You have to cross your T's and dot your I's. Because he didn't even have to also buy the pig or do any of those things for that party. He could have just been like, okay, enjoy the party. I hope you guys have fun, this, that, and the third. And that would have been that. But he thought that he had bought himself some real estate, further into her life. And he ended up really just over investing, just paying for things that didn't need to be paid for. And that's what I'm here to kind of give you guys. So if you're an older man and you're gonna date a younger woman, you want to get in the gym. That's gonna be my first bit of advice. You want to be in shape, because I think being in shape is a thing that makes you desirable. I think it keeps you active and it helps you with other things, right? Like, let's not cut corners and let's be frank here. In the bedroom, it's gonna matter, so that you do your thing in there. You want to be in shape so that you can do things that you're supposed to or handle your business, when it's time to get down to, the sexual part of the relationship. Unless you are only looking for a purely emotional relationship, then you want to be in shape, man. Like, you really want to make sure that you take the gym seriously. I mean, you want to be in there at least 5 days a week. And even if you're not in the gym, you want to get some weights at home. You want to get a routine. You want to get a healthy routine. You want to eat healthy as well. You shouldn't just be out of shape and undesirable, because you're inviting yourself to be cheated on, to be somebody that she doesn't respect or admire. You gotta look a certain way. If you want the part, you gotta look the part. So my advice is to get in the gym, work out, get some advice. If you need a trainer, get a trainer, but get toned up. Get your muscles together, get your lower half together, so that when it comes time to do the physical part of the relationship, you can do your part there and you can make it unforgettable moments. It has to be where she is, like, longing for you. I mean, I'm not saying that you're gonna be the best she ever had or anything, but you want to be able to make her have a good time as well as yourself have a good time. It shouldn't all be one way. It shouldn't be, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. No, you want to put it down. You want to do your thing in there. So, like, as far as sexually, I really advise men to get into the gym if you want to have good smecks. You know what I mean? Like, and you want her to feel like she enjoyed it. Because if you're going to be with somebody and it's not good for them, you're inviting other people into your relationship, whether it be a man, a woman, or anything. You have to give them pleasure so that you don't invite other people into your thing. You know what I mean? Like, you want them to feel like they got something out of it and you got something out of it. Because in my honest opinion, a lot of guys who do P for P, which is pay for play, some of these girls are like tripling up. You know what I mean? They're getting good smecks. They're getting to lay in your, nicely air conditioned apartment. They're having, they're going to get something to eat. So that's tripling up. And then they're also getting money. That's almost really quadrupling. But, let's say something to eat isn't even on that spectrum of things, because that's something that was going to happen anyway. Yeah, they're tripling up. So it's like that is one thing that can go on, and I don't recommend all the time P for P as like a ongoing situation. I really think everybody should, find normal girls, meet local people in these places, and really date local. You want to get to know the locals. You want to have a girl that is doing a regular job. But that's like my opinion on that. Being an older man dating a younger woman in Asia, yes, it's possible, but there are things that you want to do to make yourself more desirable, you know? So thank you for watching another episode of the Black Nomad Wingman. I'm your host, the real Don P. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification button so you get a ding every time I drop. And like I always say at this time, peace, 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 peace. I'm out.